everybody, Rappity Rabbit here, and welcome to the show. My guest today is a bear who originally hails from darkest Peru, who then emigrated to the United Kingdom and now takes up residence in London with the Brown family of Windsor Gardens. Kids and families have been reading about his adventures for generations and seeing them also on TV. And so, I'm glad to have with me here today, Paddington Bear.
Ah, yes. Greetings, Rappity Rabbit. It's so nice to be here, both on your show and again in New York City, too.
Indeed, you now live in London, England, but you've traveled the world.
That's right. I visited New York City many times. It is one of my favorite places, though it's quite different from London or even Lima in Peru.
You do have relatives back home in Peru, right?
Yes, my Aunt Lucy, who lives in the home for retired bears in Lima. When she became too old to work, I had to move out and live on my own at such a young age. And so that's why I stowed away on a ship crossing the Atlantic Ocean and arrived in London.
That's when the Brown family discovered you in Paddington Railroad Station, which is how you got your name.
Right. My Peruvian name is somewhat difficult to pronounce, and so I've adopted the name that the Browns gave me. It's certainly a lot easier to say.
You're probably aware of how myself am somewhat of a passenger train buff, so I know, for instance, how Paddington Station in London has the first underground subway tunnels ever built in the world. We have our own famous railroad stations here in New York City, and so I've often wondered what could have happened if you were found under similar circumstances here. Somehow, I can't imagine you being named Grand Central Bear or something like that.
Oh, on the other paw, personally, I wouldn't have thought being called Pennsylvania Bear as sounding bad either. Maybe just too many syllables.
Well, I guess we could say that we all have our own stations in life.
Oh, hey, that's pretty clever. Never thought of it that way.
Nowadays, do people go to Paddington Station in London looking for you?
Oh, yes. A lot of tourists visit the city to make it a point to go to that train station for that reason. And I do go by there myself occasionally when I take the British rail. But if they don't happen to catch me around, they will at least spot the pushcart in the middle of the station house selling my storybooks and those toy dolls that look like me.
Now, most of what the whole world knows about you from all those storybooks written about your adventures, right?
Oh, yes, I've been privileged to have a very good biographer all of these years since I came to England. A gentleman by the name of Michael Bond. He's been reading my journals with great interest and publishing them in story form.
Of course. I myself have personally met Mr. Bond once when he came to New York some years ago, and we had tea time together at Trump Tower, though I was a bit surprised that he actually ordered coffee in the atrium. He mentioned how so many of today's kids think he's related to James Bond, Secret Agent 007. Anyways, we talked a lot about you and how you've been a star here in the USA.
Well, I'm glad the kids have found me to be interesting, for I am sort of a rare bear indeed. One thing I suppose that encouraged them to read about me were all those cartoons that were made about me. They have been on TV for a long time. Over in England, I've been over the BBC on shows such as Blue Peter, and here in the United States, I've been on Romper Room and also seen on PBS and HBO.
One day, Paddington bought himself a camera in the market. It had a tripod, and a hood to keep out the light, and there was even a book of instructions. Altogether, it seemed very good value indeed. So after taking a quick bite of a marmalade sandwich, he got ready to take his first picture. There was a very interesting chapter in the instruction book on taking action shots. But it wasn't as easy as it sounded. In the end, he decided to take a family group. It seemed much safer. "I hope he's not long," said Mr. Brown. "I've got cramp coming on." "I wouldn't move if I were you," said Jonathan. "We'd never hear the last of it," agreed Judy. "He's only got one plate." "I've only got one leg," groaned Mr. Brown. "Shh, Henry," said Mrs. Brown. "I think he's doing something." Paddington consulted his instruction book. "I have to measure the distance," he announced. "I'll use this piece of string. If I don't measure the distance properly, I shan't know how far away you are, and you may come out all blurred." "I'd sooner be blurred than have my ear pulled off," grumbled Mr. Brown. "Ooh!" "I'm afraid bears' slip knots are a bit hard to untie," said Paddington. "Anyway, I think I shall have to ask you all to move. The sun's in a different place." "Perhaps if one of us took it," said Mrs. Bird, "you could be in the picture yourself." Paddington considered the matter over a marmalade sandwich. "I shall press the shutter," he announced, "and then run round the front." "Even bears can't run that fast," murmured Mr. Brown. Paddington gave Mr. Brown a hard stare through his lens. But as he did so, something very strange happened. "What on earth's he up to now?" exclaimed Mr. Brown. "He looks as if he's practicing for the ballet or something." "Mind my petunias." "Too late," groaned Jonathan. "Are you all right?" called Mrs. Brown. "I think so, Mrs. Brown," said Paddington, "except I've pressed the shutter by mistake. I'm afraid I've been having trouble with a bumblebee again. It must have been after my marmalade sandwich. Perhaps I'd better finish it before anything else happens." No one, least of all Paddington, expected his photograph to come out. But to everyone's surprise, when the plate was developed and printed, there was quite a clear picture. "Not bad," said Mr. Brown. "Not bad at all. What is it?" "Take a look in my window," said the man. Paddington hurried outside in order to see for himself. Apart from his photograph, there was a label. It said, "Picture of a bumblebee, taken by local bear, both very rare."
Your stories on TV, they pretty much tell about your adventures with the Browns and, as they say, sticky messes.
Oh, yes, that saying has came from the time I tried making toffee candy in Mrs. Brown's kitchen. And that was one of my many sticky situations that I've often found myself in. So I guess you can say that description of my adventures kind of stuck.
Now, you're a very handy bear when it comes to making or fixing things, aren't you?
Well, I do like making things, and at least do my best at it. But one thing has always been a rather challenge to me is working with my paws. I know you've read that I've been saying how difficult it is with paws. I'm sure some of your other bear friends would agree with me.
I imagine how tricky that can be. I see you don't really have 4 fingers like I do. But in spite of your sometime difficulties, things always turn out right in the end, don't they?
Oh, yes. In fact, the Browns' housekeeper, Mrs. Bird, says that I'm a bear that always lands on my feet. Though I think she's really confusing me with a cat.
Well, anytime you can land in whatever upright position is always a good thing.
Especially for me, because landing on my head would squash the emergency marmalade sandwich that I always keep in my hat.
Now, there are other acquaintances around you that you meet every day. Perhaps you can tell us more about them.
Well, there is the Browns' next-door neighbor, Mr. Curry. A rather nosy person, I'm afraid. Most unpleasant to be around. Tends to take advantage of the good graces of others. I try to be as polite to him as I can be, but he usually winds up on the receiving end of my hard stares.
Mm-hmm. He sort of reminds me of Goofy's next-door neighbor over in Disney's Toontown, Pete. Mr. Curry is definitely not a sweet person, so perhaps would that be why his name sounds rather spicy? I'm just guessing.
Oh, I've heard a lot about Goofy, but not much about his next-door neighbor, I'm afraid. Well, that's rather interesting about Mr. Curry's name. Never gave it that amount of thought before. So I'll probably be reminded of him the next time the Browns take me out to dinner at a Chinese restaurant.
On the other end of your interpersonal relations, please tell me about your friend, Mr. Gruber.
Oh, Mr. Gruber is just about the best friend in the world. He's taught me a lot of things and taken me to lots of places. I visit him every midday at his antique shop on Portobello Road, where we have our Elevensons.
I beg your pardon, Elevenses?
Oh, right. That's our morning time together for hot chocolate and sweet buns. Takes place around 11 o'clock. We sit and talk. Mr. Gruber shows me some of his books and often gives me advice on how to do things better than I might be not knowing. Sometimes we go together on outings, like to concerts, the theater, or cinema. He is quite great company to be around with.
Let's turn now from your family and friends to your fans, who stretch all over the world. While we don't have the time to cover all that territory, so how about just your appearances here in New York for them, besides this show?
Gee, I'm really very touched by all the honors I've been given here in the USA. Since I'm here with you in New York today, how about I just go over a few of my most memorable times in the city and nearby? I would say some of the best memories I have were being in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade a few times. One time I was riding a horse in the parade. Oh, wait, that was actually a rocking horse. Oh, still, it was lots of fun.
He was throwing it to you, dude.
I think he was throwing it to me. Paddington and I are friends from way back.
Oh, you're old pal.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
They flew a big balloon in the parade that looked like me. Another time, I was invited to the store to hold a big tea party for the kids, and one floor was all decorated for that. That was really ace. There were also events I've done elsewhere too, like appearing at the public libraries in New Jersey, getting kids interested in reading by offering them my books. And while in New Jersey, I spent an entire weekend at the shore. And also, being a bear, one year I was invited to take part in the big teddy bear rally in Massachusetts, where I met a lot of my fans and even marched in the parade there with them. As a matter of fact, I believe I met another friend of yours there. His name was Tenderheart Bear.
Yes, Tenderheart is a Care Bear, and we've known each other for a very long time. Small world, isn't it? One more thing I'd like you to tell us is about your favorite food.
Ah, yes, I'm very fond of marmalade and marmalade sandwiches. We have lots of oranges in Peru when I was living there, and much of that was made into marmalade, which I grew up eating a lot of.
I suppose that's quite different from most bears that kids here in the USA are familiar with. They usually think of bears enjoying honey.
Ah, indeed. Many kids here still sometimes confuse me with Winnie the Pooh Bear, who is very fond of honey. But for myself, I never go anywhere without a marmalade sandwich close by, like the one I keep in my hat, or just in case, you know.
Well, on that note, I would like to give you a present of this jar of marmalade for you to enjoy, along with a musical number to go with it.
Why, thank you! That's very kind of you. But a musical number comes with it?
Yes, Paddington. This is a song that long ago I promised myself I would play for you if you ever appeared on my TV show. It's a tune by a 1960s band called the Lemon Pipers, who were famous for the hit Green Tambourine. They tried following that up with this other tune, but it never reached that same popularity. Yet I think you would enjoy it very much. It's called Jelly Jungle of Orange Marmalade.
Ah, it sounds delicious.
Let's play that video right now.
If you're looking for sunshine fun, come with me, I can give you some. We'll climb a rainbow ladder to the sky, just you and I. We will fly to a yellow ball of butter, where the clouds are as fluffy as a parachute sail. In the jelly jungle of orange marmalade, there are tangerine dreams waiting for you in orange marmalade. a trip on my pogo stick. Bounce up and down, do a trick. I'll play a beat on your pumpkin drum, and we'll have fun in the sun. We will always be together. Take my hand forever and come out of the shade to the jelly jungle of orange marmalade. There are tangerine dreams waiting for you in orange marmalade. In the sun all day, in the jelly jungle of orange marmalade. There are tangerine dreams waiting for you in orange marmalade. In the jelly jungle of orange marmalade.
Why, thank you, Rabbit. That was quite a delightful number. It almost reminds me a little of my old country Peru, with its jungles and oranges, though they were not made of jelly.
Well, I knew that you would enjoy that song by the Lemon Pipers. And so that's all the time we have now for the show today, and I would like to thank my guest Paddington Bear for visiting us, and thank you out there for watching. Till next time, keep hoppin' happy.
Bye-bye, bye-bye.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
Hi, everybody. I'm back again. We recorded that interview with Paddington Bear a while back, and since then, he's contacted me to say that he's starring in a brand new movie that's opening soon. Paddington sent me a trailer for the film to share with you all, and he hopes that you do go see his movie.
London. Stranger danger. There's some sort of bear over there. Probably selling something.
Hello there.
Mary. Hello.
This young bear needs our help, Henry. What are you going to do now?
Probably just sleep over there in that bin.
That's the spirit.
It's just for one night.
Do bears even have names?
My name is...
Right.
You try it. Mr. Brown, that is extremely rude.
Perhaps you'd like an English name?
An English name?
Paddington.
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 Paddington? Sorry. I like it.
He's going in the attic and I want you all to lock your doors.
You all right?
All good. That bear is a danger to this family. First thing tomorrow, that bear is out of here.
This is Paddington. He's a bear.
I can see that.
That creature means a great deal to me.
Is he endangered?
He is now.
The furry menace is home alone.
I'm going to stuff you, bear.
I beg your pardon?
Paddington's the best thing that's ever happened to the children.
Hot wind, too hot wind, but I like it. Well, I hope I don't look weird.
It doesn't matter that he's a different species. Or that he has a worrying marmalade habit. Paddington's family. Paddington, come in.
What this family needed was a pinch of chaos.
It's actually quite good fun.